Good day, everyone. For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. We're going to begin in Mexico. That's where the search for the missing students from Ayotzinapa continues. Parents, relatives, and supporters of the missing students clashed with the Army and police forces after they requested to enter a military base in Iguala. That's where they believe the students are being held. The parents approached the base peacefully but were repelled with tear gas and fire extinguishers. The protesters took over a truck and smashed the gates of the base to force their way in, but were blocked by the soldiers. Other protesters tried to enter military bases in the state of Oaxaca as well as the federal district without success. With more now on this situation in Mexico, we turn to our correspondent there, Clayton Kahn.
Yesterday, families and classmates of the disappeared Ayotzinapa students clashed with military police in the entrance of the 27th Infantry Battalion military base in Iguala, Guerrero, after demanding entrance so as to search for their missing loved ones. Several people were left injured, including parents of the students. Now, the base is approximately 5 minutes by vehicle from the site where in September students from the Ayotzinapa Teachers Training College were attacked and forcibly disappeared by Iguala police and believed to be handed over to the organized crime group Guerreros Unidos. With nearly 4 months since the students were attacked and remain missing, families, classmates, and social organizations demand that the authorities do a thorough investigation in the role of the military and allow independent investigators to search military bases. The next major action for Ayotzinapa is scheduled for January 26th, marking 4 months since the attack. This is Clayton Kahn reporting for Telesur here in Mexico City.
Thanks to Clayton. Also in Latin America, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro continues his tour visiting OPEC member countries. President Maduro met on Monday with Algerian Prime Minister Abdel Malik Salal. The president arrived in the country after visiting Qatar in a bid to raise falling global oil prices. The socialist head of state is set to meet his Algerian counterpart Abdelaziz Bouteflika on Tuesday in order to review bilateral cooperation agreements that have already been put in place. President Maduro announced on Monday after his successful visit to Qatar that a new stage for oil prices is in fact looming. And as Maduro continues to tour OPEC member nations in attempts to boost oil prices, the right-wing opposition in Venezuela is attempting to take advantage of the moment. They have called for people to protest in the streets. Opposition leader Enrique Capriles has said that now is the right time to agitate. The new plans of Venezuela's opposition come after the main opposition party, the Democratic Unity Table, called off a national strike due to their failure to gather enough support. In Peru, concerns are being raised again over the effects of the introduction of genetically modified food, which many say threatens the country's biodiversity. Here's our correspondent in Lima, Raul Mora.
3 years ago, Peru banned genetically modified seeds to protect its rich biodiversity that includes 56 types of corn and close to 4,000 types of potatoes. However, the law has not been implemented, and civil society groups are denouncing intervention by transnational corporations like Monsanto.
The seed corporations have infiltrated government officials, just as they have done in other countries. They are repeating the same strategy. They have been able to get their people on the inside, and what they are doing is blocking the existing law until the time comes when they will be able to introduce a new regulatory framework in their favor.
Antonieta Gutierrez, doctor in natural sciences and genetics, believes the issues of health risks and genetically modified foods and the benefits of maintaining the country's biodiversity have already been settled.
Going back to the discussion of whether it's good or bad, whether it affects biodiversity or human health is distracting us from what we have already debated and made decisions about. We need to be saying, okay, we already have the law, how much do we need to do to implement it, and what else is needed?
Telesur requested an official statement from the Ministry of Agriculture but did not receive an answer. Peru is one of 12 mega-diverse countries with 65% of its agriculture dependent on local native products. All of that richness could be at risk without proper regulations. Reporting from Lima, Peru for Telesur, Rael Mora.
Thanks to Raul. We go to Argentina now, where the popular Agreed Prices program has sought to control the price of basic food and household items. The fifth stage of the government program was launched on Monday and will incorporate dozens more products. With more, here's our correspondent Leopold Leticaduri.
The Argentine government launched the Agreed Prices program in January 2014 to provide predictability, stability and transparency in the process of price formation.
This isn't about freezing prices, but more about managing flexible prices. It attempts to generate the conditions for price variations that are reasonable and have a logical justification based on economic fundamentals, and not based on what very often is completely speculative behavior, which ends up generating fear in consumers, especially the most vulnerable sectors.
In a press conference this Monday in Buenos Aires to announce the launch of the fifth stage of Agreed Prices, Economy Minister Axel Kicillof highlighted that the key factor in the success of the program was that it empowered the people.
Agreed Prices is a program to end speculation. It is a program which seeks to defend the purchasing power of wages, and when introduced it, had the objective of settling in, so that the people could have an active participation in the process of price formation.
Agreed Prices has generated more awareness in consumers, who are now much more cautious about how much they are paying for their groceries.
In 2014, almost 90% of the economically active population from the middle and lower segments were familiar with the Agreed Prices program and demanded it when making a purchase.
A year on, and it's not only groceries that appear in the program. Building materials, school and office supplies and mobile phones have also jumped on board and make up an ever-growing list of over 450 products with agreed prices. From Buenos Aires, Leonel Poblete-Goduti, Telesur.
Thanks to Leonel. Taking a look around the world now, we go to Egypt, where former President Hosni Mubarak will be retried for a case of embezzlement. The former president had been found guilty and charged with a 3-year sentence for diverting public funds to his family business. An Egyptian court ordered a retrial of the case on Tuesday. The court's decision comes in the wake of an earlier decision to drop separate charges against the former president for ordering the murder of hundreds of protesters. The peaceful protest that ousted Mubarak in 2011 ended in a bloodbath as over 800 demonstrators were killed. We go down to Palestine, where hundreds of residents in Ramallah and Gaza City have rallied in solidarity with the victims of the shooting at the French magazine Charlie Hebdo. Here's our correspondent Noor Harazin.
Hundreds of Palestinians in Ramallah and Gaza City rallied in solidarity with France over the weekend in the wake of the series of attacks that left 17 people dead last week. On Sunday, participants in Ramallah gathered in Al-Manara Square, raising Palestinian flags and signs condemning all forms of terrorism. Palestinians also lit candles in front of the French Cultural Center in central Gaza City in solidarity with the victims of the Charlie Hebdo attack in Paris.
The event was organized to send a message to the French people that Palestinians condemn terrorism in all its types and shapes, and we wish that the people around the world will remember Gaza the way they remember others and will stand for the justice for Palestine and its people.
Journalists who participated in the event in Gaza said that they were standing for the freedom of expression and against violence in the name of religion. Participants condemned terrorist actions, especially those committed in the name of Islam, and asked the international community to blame the attackers themselves, not their religion. The rallies took place the same day. Hundreds of thousands of people and dozens of world leaders gathered in Paris in a show of solidarity and defense against last week's violent attack. Noor Harazin, Telesur TV, Gaza.
And in Ukraine, a peace summit set to take place on Thursday has been canceled. The foreign ministry of Russia, Germany, France, and Ukraine decided to halt the event due to the inability to sustain the truce. That truce was agreed upon last year between rebel forces and the government. Now, despite the agreement, media outlets have continued to report constant clashes in the east of Ukraine between rebel forces and government forces. In Indonesia, divers have found the second black box of the crashed Air Asia flight. The second recorder contains the conversations in the cockpit and will provide important evidence needed to determine the causes of the crash. The first black box, which recorded the interaction between the aircraft and the control tower, was recovered on Monday. We end today on a musical note. As Damascus Opera House is slowly coming back to life, years of armed conflict had forced the once thriving venue into near silence, but recent weeks have seen a sharp increase in the number of performances at the Opera House. Inaugurated by Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in 2004, the Opera House has seen recent performances which have included classical and Latin music concerts as well as a poetry reading. Attendance even temporarily returned to pre-war levels last month as more than 5,000 people attended a 5-day Arab music festival. Plenty more on those stories and others at our website. Check it out, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle. Have a great day.